Like, it just goes to show how close you guys are, because first one of your friends and one of your teammates to reach out and just speak so highly of you. Like, each one of the girls, like, you just seem like you genuinely love each other and you're such a team.
Yes.
Can you just talk about the Michigan camaraderie and girls and your process about being friends with them and being on the same team?
Yeah, my team is so special. And I think one of the biggest compliments we always get when we have recruits in town is like, wow, like you guys really look like you care about each other.
You're all besties.
And that was one of the first things, like, so like my parents, I remember when my dad sent me on my recruiting trip to Michigan, he was like, here's some things. My dad was a collegiate volleyball player.
Okay.
And he was like, here's some things like you should look out for. And then top of that thing was like how they treat each other.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to A2 with Angel here on Champ Media. Abby Schulz, sophomore on the water polo team for the women. Abby, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So starting off, your freshman year, you came here and you weren't necessarily on the travel roster, but within literally a summer, you not only were on the travel roster, but you were having an amazing freshman year. Tell me about the mental battle of trying to figure out how to find your voice within a team of older girls.
Yeah. So, I mean, I came in as a freshman and I kind of knew that I wanted to absorb as much as I could just from the program, from the older girls. I never like approach anything with the mindset of like, I'm not going to play, I kind of am like, these are my goals, and my goal isn't necessarily, how many minutes I'm getting, but like, I want to get better at all these different skills that are going to eventually lead to those minutes that I'm going to play. And I kind of really kept that mindset all throughout my freshman year. And I think that is why I had so much success in at least my sophomore fall. Which is our out of season training period, which was that I kind of just always kept myself very stable, like throughout all of freshman year, which is really hard. Like when you're on a travel roster, off a travel roster, you have a lot of FOMO. It's really hard to keep coming back to practice sometimes when, you're missing out on those big like game minutes, and just like being on the bench and like being with the team and being like a part of that camaraderie. But that kind of led me into after my freshman year into my summer. I kind of just hit the ground running, and I knew the things that I wanted to get better at, and I had time like to myself. And a lot of that was like my mental game. I really struggled failing, and that's something that like a lot of coaches and like mentors of mine have always brought up to me, is I really struggle to fail and like fail publicly. Like I want to do the right thing on the first try, or like if I try a new rep of like a different shot, like I want it to be perfect on the first try. So that was like honestly one of my biggest things I worked on this summer, and made like huge change in my game, which was kind of just like forgiving and moving on when I make mistakes, and not thinking so deep about them. And sometimes it's not, my body position or anything, or it was really just it was a bad shot. And that's it. And that it can be summarized by that, and I can move on. So yeah, I would say like definitely this past summer, so summer 2025 was just really about like learning more about myself and my own mental game, and how to move on from things and move on from mistakes. And it made a huge difference. So
100%. I mean, when you came in, you weren't doing bad at all. Actually, your first appearance, 2 months after that, you scored a game-winning goal, and that was against Mercyhurst, and then also appeared in 22 games your freshman year. That's honestly amazing, especially coming from a place where you were necessarily given the same accessibility as other water polo players, especially coming from Michigan. But that's amazing. So, I mean, looking back, you're halfway through your collegiate career. You've had a lot of time to mentally process, physically process, and understand your mental and your body. What's been your favorite game so far looking back?
Oh, wow, that's hard. Trying to think. To be honest, probably, well, I didn't even play in this game. I was injured during this game, but I was filming it.
Love.
And we played UCSD at the Triton Invite. And I think it was over our spring break trip. And we just came in, and I don't know, we had this overwhelming like sense of confidence in ourselves. And it's not like they're in our conference or anything, but it was just one of those games that just would feel so good to win. And we could all tell that we wanted it, but when there's that overwhelming sense of confidence, it's just like very steady constantly. That whole day is steady, and everyone just knows like what to expect, and everyone feels like they're on the same page. And so I could tell that from like outside of the water, and that is something that just brought me like so much like pride in like our team, but also just
Yeah.
in being part of Michigan. Um, but I would say like again, I didn't even play in that game, and that was like I felt like I was there. I felt like I was in the water,
Yeah.
watching the girls. I mean, obviously I know everything that goes into the behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
this season I had kind of taken like a different, perspective, a different viewpoint on a lot of it. So, like I'd seen them at practice all week, and the weeks prior to go leading up to that game, and you could just see it. You could see it the whole time. So yeah.
100%. I mean, it's got to be so different too, like choosing a game where it was more of a you're watching from a viewer standpoint,
Mhm.
because of your injury, which we'll get more into. Just like getting to analyze a game from a viewer perspective as opposed to actually playing, you probably see things in such a different manner than
Yeah.
when you're actually in the water.
Yeah.
Which leads me into the next question. So I'm not beating the black stereotype. I can't swim. I cannot swim to save my life. And I have to just ask you, like, literally, how in the hell do you tread water for an entire game? Mind you, they're in pools. They can't touch the bottom for the entire time. Like, this is just, like, altering my brain chemistry. And then on top of that, you're swimming for up to 1 to 2 miles throughout this
Mhm.
entire game. Have you always been a mermaid, like, your whole life?
Yeah, I've loved to swim ever since I was like, I didn't even know. I think my parents probably put me in swim lessons like when I was around 3.
Oh my God, I wish.
And I have like videos of me in kindergarten or even maybe younger swimming. Like we would go to like, like their country club
Uh-huh.
in the summer and do like the swim meets there. And I just like loved it. And my older brother was a swimmer as well. And so I think I kind of always like followed his footsteps athletically. I mean, he also played water polo. Um, and so like what he was doing, I was gonna do as well. And I don't know, I loved water polo was the first sport I played that was like a team sport.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like grew up loving like an individual sport because I could be competitive with myself.
Yeah.
Even from like a young age, like there's nothing made me happier than like winning one of those little plastic medals, you
Yeah.
know?
They were literally the
Yeah.
best. Those $5 medals we held on
Exactly
to
that
for
you could
sure.
probably get anywhere, but I loved it, and like I had a bucket of all my ribbons, and it was like my favorite thing ever. And so it's like even if it was an 8th place ribbon, I was like I'm adding it to my
Yeah,
bucket. So
100%.
I just like loved competing, and I think swimming just really provide that outlet for me. Um, yeah, but yeah, I've always been a swimmer
I
growing
literally
up.
love that. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I have to ask you another question. If it were coming down to you and another sea animal, you have to choose one, probably like equal or bigger to your size. Which animal would you choose that you think you would beat in a fight?
That is really tough. Um,
Like, are you going head to head with a shark?
no, no, no. I actually have though one time. Yes, I used to open water swim when we lived. I used to live in Costa Rica growing up, and I used
Yeah,
to
we're
open
talking
water
about that
swim
next.
a
Hello.
lot. And that did happen to me once. I was in like we were like in a training, like we were basically like in a practice, but it would be like a training course. And I like was the first one leading out, and I like turned a buoy, and a shark came right around the buoy because they're very curious animals. So like when they see things like neon, and like our buoys were like orange and neon. Yeah, but it like swam away. It totally left me alone. So definitely not a shark. I was terrified of sharks.
Okay, fair
Still
enough.
am, but I don't know. That's so hard. I don't know. I don't even think I would beat like a dolphin, maybe,
Maybe a
but maybe
dolphin.
not even a dolphin. So I'll say that. I'll
Okay,
say
we'll say
that.
a dolphin. Something like
Yeah,
it,
but I
it's a
love
mean
dolphins.
dolphin.
Yeah.
I like that. And then, okay, so if we were to throw you in the pool right now, how long can you tread water for?
And so I think like, and you could talk to my team about this too. I think like we could honestly all tread water for an entire day. It's an entire day. It's like riding a bike. It's very effortless. Like, but you have to. It's called egg beater is what we do. So it's
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
like you're like scissor kicking like up and down, like flutter kicking up and down. Like you basically support like through a lot of reps, create like a base position, and that is like extremely comfortable. Um, and you're just like basically like a whisk, like an electric whisk that you use to bake. It's like the exact same movement with your
Okay.
legs. So they're kind of just going almost like a figure 8.
Okay, I get the
Yeah.
visual. That's literally
But it's like riding
insane.
a bike. It's super like effortless. I mean, when you add like a
Yeah.
weight belt or something, or you have to have your hands out of the water, then it becomes
Do
totally
you do
different.
that to train?
Yeah, well, we had weight belts and we you have to have your hands out of the water. I mean, when you pass and stuff, your hands are out of the water. But
Yeah.
if your hands are in the water, like you could tread for a really long time. It's not tiring. Yeah.
For one, I'm not beating a shark because the second you throw me in the water, I'm drowning. So the water would get me first. And to even get to the egg beater part, like I would have to be able to flow, and I can't do that. So I might have to learn from you later on. I think that's
We can
literally the
teach you.
coolest
We
thing
can
ever.
teach you.
No, I'm definitely the Sophia squared, both
Yes.
of them and you. Yeah, throw me in the water. We're all gonna go swimming for a
Yeah.
day. Like you have to
Yeah.
teach me.
No, we can teach you.
That's actually so cool. I think this is gonna be such a fun interview, especially because like you're genuinely like altering my brain chemistry right now. Like we talked to football, basketball,
Yeah.
gymnastics, dance, and it's all like land sports. So it's all things that I mean, not necessarily native to everybody, but like it is pretty like hand in hand. Like I could at least try it.
Yeah.
But like water sports are on a whole nother level to me. Like you're literally a fish.
And water polo is like it's kind of niche. Like it's different.
Very niche,
It's very
yes.
different. Yeah.
Especially in Michigan, and that's kind of what I want to talk about
Yeah.
next. So, your love for water polo. First of all, Costa Rica. You lived in Costa Rica when you
Yeah.
were younger, and earlier you told me that's kind of where your love started, maybe. Talk to me about your story of finding water polo in Costa Rica.
Yeah. So like I would say, I was always a swimmer, and I was somebody that was very comfortable, like when I was in comfortable situations.
Yeah.
Like when I was growing up, and so when my parents decided to move our whole family to Costa Rica, it was just they want a different lifestyle for us. And I'm so grateful they did that because it really pushed me to start being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
100%.
And so I would try a lot of new things. My parents wanted us to try a lot of new things. So like I went to a fully Spanish speaking school when I was there. My brothers went to
Wow.
like an immersion school, like an American and Costa Rican immersion. So they had some classes in Spanish, some classes in English. I went to like a fully Spanish speaking school.
So you're fluent in Spanish.
I was, not as much anymore.
Okay, fair enough.
But I was at one time. I was like fully fluent. And yeah, I mean, not when I first got there. It was
Yeah,
really
fair
hard
enough.
when I first got there. And it was like I was there for what would be like the US 5th, 6th, and 7th grade.
Okay.
And I probably definitely lost like my 5th grade education because I just like I didn't understand anything for the first year.
Yeah.
But by like by 6th grade, 7th grade, I definitely like started picking up on everything.
Oh.
But it really pushed me. Like at first, like I don't know anyone, I don't know the culture. And so like it was like kind of fully jumping 2 feet into the situation. But it changed. I think that really like changed the trajectory of my life. And then I started, open water swimming, and I was very uncomfortable in the ocean growing up. I loved the lakes, but I had never really been in the ocean that much. And so my parents really wanted me to start open water swimming, and so like that, you have to start getting comfortable in waves, and the water's really
Yeah.
deep, and there's sea animals, and then you're swimming with like no lane lines anymore, so people are all over you. And so that really started to kind of force me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And so I became a lot more confident in myself and a lot more brave. Like, as I would try things that I maybe a year ago wouldn't have tried. And so then that is where I first did play water polo. But I always forget about it because it just at the time felt so.
So native and so like foreign for you, and you're
Yes.
younger
Yeah.
too, so probably didn't translate the
And there's
same.
no water polo, like there's not really any water polo in Costa Rica either.
Yeah.
I just like I had a swim team that like I was training with called Vamos Youth,
Mm-hmm.
and Ode was the owner of the club,
Okay.
and one of her best friends, Dominique, came, and she used to play for the Canadian national team, and she was just visiting her, and she ended up bringing some like water polo balls. And so we went to one of the local schools in the area, and we just like splashed around with the balls basically. But my older brother came as well, and he had played water polo before we moved for like our
Okay.
middle school. Like we had like a middle school league team. So he like knew what was going on. I had no idea what was going on. But that was like my first introduction to water polo. But yeah, I always forget about it because it didn't really translate immediately to me when I came back to the US.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely my first time. That was my first time holding like a water polo ball.
Yeah. I just want to say like how beautiful sports is. Like once again, like you said, going to a country where it's like language is one of the
Mhm.
first things you're confused about, the culture, how they speak, what they do, like, and you can literally kick a ball around and understand each other with no words. Like you could dance with each other, understand each other with no words. You can
Exactly.
go in the water and throw a ball with each other, literally water polo, and understand each other with no words. I think that's such a beautiful
Yeah.
thing about sports is it can connect people around the world. We see that in today with basketball and football and all these sports that are being played all around the world, that are just bringing people together. And
Yeah.
I absolutely love that about sports. Okay, so now Costa Rica, you come back home. You're from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yes.
So I kind of want to talk a little bit more about that as well. So being from Grand Rapids, Michigan, tons of pools, tons of water. Michigan, we're surrounded by the
Mhm.
Great Lakes and everything else, but water polo isn't a big sport. So getting into it and also wanting to play at the competitive level, how did you practice? How did you get into that? How did you find the love being from a place where it's not as popular?
Yeah. So we came back, and it was just the end of 2019. So like COVID kind of just was starting. And so
That's when you
I
started playing?
I didn't start playing until my freshman year of high school.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So you really
Yeah.
had a late start. Okay,
Okay.
continue.
Yeah.
That's so
So
cool.
which is like honestly I think pretty common for a lot of the girls from the
Okay.
Midwest or outside of California. But yeah, so I started well, I came back, and then I immediately started. I was in 8th grade, so I came back to my old club swim team.
Yes.
Um and fell back in love with swimming in the pool again and not in the ocean, and had a great time. And then I swam my freshman year of high school. And our high school swim team was always really good. We would always win D3 states. And we had an amazing coach. And my parents, so then water polo for high school in Michigan is the spring season. And my parents really wanted me to try out.
Yeah.
And again, like I'd only ever been a swimmer, really. Like that was because I enjoyed it so much. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
really want to try anything else. Like this is
Hmm.
perfect for me. But I was kind of starting to plateau. Like my times weren't getting much faster. And so I was just kind of at this like straight
Yeah.
point. And I was like, you know what? Like I was having a really good time still being really competitive. But my parents were really wanting me to try
Yeah.
out for the water polo team because my brother had such a great experience
Hmm.
playing water polo in high school. And at the time he was a senior my freshman year.
Hmm.
So he was just finishing up his season. And so my parents convinced me, and I did not like it at first. It took like definitely probably till the end of my freshman season for me to
Hmm.
be like, okay, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes back to like what I had said at the beginning of the interview, which is I really struggle not being good at stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just competitive, and like I was kind of in this position again where I was really
You were
uncomfortable.
starting over and you were already, I mean, freshman year, you're kind of starting to develop what you want to do at a competitive level. So it's like with starting over, it probably feels like I don't want to start over. I'm already old. I already know how to swim. And now it feels like
Exactly.
I'm trying something new. And being competitive, I totally understand where you're coming
Exactly.
from.
And so, but I would say, like, I always tell people that's competitiveness, and that, like, competition in me is what made me or brought me where I am now and had made me want to continue playing water polo.
Hmm.
Because then I realized, like, oh, I can talk at practice and, like, interact with people and not
Yes.
be, like, staring at the bottom of the pool all the time. And I, like, started to really fall in love with the idea of, like, being on a team.
Yes.
And just, like, that, like, energy is, like, something that obviously you have to when you're playing an individual sport, you're competing in individual sports, so energy you have to create constantly for
Yes.
yourself. Um, and which I still think I really do have that in me. It's
Yeah.
like I'm very self-motivated and like self-accountable. But when you have a team, like those moments when you're lacking and you suddenly have like other people that have your back and like,
Yeah.
you know, push you to keep on going. So I started like really falling in love with like that aspect of the game. And that's what just made me, yeah, it just made me want to keep on playing. And then um going into my sophomore season, I got like exponentially better from my freshman year. My freshman year, I barely played even on our high school team.
Yeah.
But by myself, like I was so excited to make our state roster. Like
Yes.
we were pretty good that year for Michigan, and we were going into states ranked number 1, and I was like the last person on the roster cut off because they don't bring everyone for the last like 3 weeks after you qualify for states.
Hmm.
And so I was the last person on the list, and I was like, yes, I was so happy. And then yeah, going to my sophomore year, I definitely just like started loving it a lot more and getting more competitive. And I played a little bit of club over the summer. There's Third Coast Aquatics is a water polo club in Hudsonville, Michigan. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like 30 minutes from where I'm from. So I played with them for a little bit over the summer. And I went to my first Junior Olympics that summer in Texas,
Wow. Okay.
which Junior Olympics is like the big, all the clubs go in the US pretty
Okay.
much for water polo. It's like our biggest competition we have.
That's so cool.
So I played in that. And yeah, and it just started developing more and more, and I just wanted to get better. Like,
Yeah.
so, like, that's so,
Yeah, and also like once again, like coming from Michigan where it's not as competitive of a sport, you traveled a lot. You
mhm.
you talked about going to California and trying out to be a part of this team called 6'8", which is
Yes.
it's headed by two Olympians.
Yes.
Um and then from there kind of figured out what schools you wanted to go
Mhm.
to. Was Michigan always a dream school for you? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So yes, when I decided to go to the 6'8" Academy, that was the best decision I've ever made for my career, for my water polo career. And I always tell girls from outside of California that, and I'll always give them props because they do an amazing, amazing job
Yeah.
just developing players. They take chances on people, and I think it's what they're doing is really incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really got into journaling. So when I started going to 6'8", I remember one of my coaches, his name is Rico Azevedo. He's Tony Azevedo, who owns 6'8's
Yes.
dad. And he was like telling me how I should keep a journal and I should really journal my experiences and like throughout the rest of like my career. And that's something I've always taken very seriously.
Yeah.
And I remember he and I had a meeting and he was like, write down your top 10 schools.
Okay.
Um, and Michigan like made that top of that list.
Mhm.
And I don't even know at the moment, like thinking back at it, exactly why. I went to like one game at my sophomore year of high school right before I went to the 6'8" Academy. I just remember thinking, this
Yeah.
is so cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
watching the girls play and just I was like so stunned by them. And it was like the highest level of water polo I had ever watched live.
Right.
Which makes sense. Like if you're from Michigan, like
Yeah.
that the highest level you're gonna watch is gonna be
At
at
the
the
University
University
of
of
Michigan,
Michigan.
of course.
Which is so cool. And so I remember just like being like, wow. And so when he had asked me that question, I wrote down 10 schools and a couple of them, it was like I think 3 reach schools, like I don't know. It was like 3 reach schools, 5 like medium schools, and 2 safety schools.
Uh-huh.
Um and yeah, Michigan was like definitely it was in my reach school. It was like one of my top schools I would love to have played for.
Yeah.
And then I have another sheet of paper where I had to write like my week goals, like my month goal, my year goal, and then like my end all be goal. And I had the University of go to the University of Michigan in there. And I never found that
Love
sheet
that.
until after I had committed to Michigan. It
Wow.
was like in my journal has like a big like place that you can put notes and stuff into. And so I found that afterwards. I totally forgot that I had ever written that down. But
Wow.
I think I always felt that Michigan would never end up being where I had gone because
Yeah.
I was from here. And so I was like, oh, like surely I'm going to
Yes.
go to California.
100%.
And it was like Michigan's an amazing, amazing program. And so
Yes.
I never thought that that would like be an opportunity that I would ever be given.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially like when it started to become a reality for me, I was very excited.
And I want to tell you guys, so a lot of Michigan's water polo team is made up of a lot of foreign exchange students, and it's also made up of a lot of non-Michigan native players. Yeah, they've had some Michigan native players, but it's not as common. So from your perspective, being a girl from Michigan and you're seeing the University of Michigan being such a in reach but also out of reach school for you, like such a big dream school,
Yeah.
you probably felt like, well, I'm not from here. They usually, or I am from here. They usually go about choosing kids who maybe foreign, not usually from here, and then you make the team of your dreams on top of also being from here. I mean, what an inspiration to girls who coming from the state of Michigan and wanting to go and play at that collegiate level. And also just like like it's a school where not that many Michigan girls
Yeah.
go to, which is so crazy. But I mean, how is that now, like being in such an inspirational position
Yeah.
to give these girls the view that, hey, like if you're from Michigan, it may not necessarily seem attainable, but like you can go
Yeah.
here. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How does that
And
feel?
I think like my recruiting process is a testament to like you really need to put yourself out there And like I said multiple times, you really have to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Like I sent the coaching staff at the time multiple emails and I had never heard a response. They get so many emails a day. Michigan is
Yeah.
like a dream for so many people. So they
Yeah.
get so many emails a day. Um, and so I kind of like part of me, I'd sent a lot of emails. I'm like, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna go into
Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah.
go into another school. And my coach I was at a tournament in California playing for Vanguard Aquatics at the time. And my coach, Beth Bailey, um, I think she might have like there was like a panel of coaches that were there and she must have given like a sheet out and it had my name on it.
Okay.
And it had said that I was from Grand Rapids, Michigan on the sheet.
Okay, cool.
And so our coaching staff was watching that game and then they had seen that I was from Michigan and immediately I finished that game and I got an email from them.
Love
And it
that.
was like, we would really like to speak to you. Which was just so cool because I think, I worked really hard at growing up, and I think some Midwest girls can also relate to this, is that sometimes like the name Midwest or just outside of California can kind of drag your recruiting profile down.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of times you don't have as much experience because there's not as many opportunities.
Right. So when you hear Michigan or like Michigan, like, oh, Grand Rapids, there's not competitive teams from here.
Exactly.
So we're not going to really pull from this pool because they may not have the same experience as opposed to the Southern girls who are like, they're in the water every single day at the most competitive level you can be.
Exactly.
So now I see.
So
Okay.
sometimes like it's hard, like when you're in the recruiting process, like I always was like, I want to disassociate from that.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad that I think back at it because I'm so proud that I'm from here and I'm so proud to be going to the University of Michigan as somebody from Michigan. But yeah, like it definitely wasn't like like that part of it was always like kind of a struggle for me. Just because I was just like, "Oh, I wish that, like
Yeah.
that they could look at my profile and not focus on that. And I think
Not
coaches
on
are
the
changing
yes.
so much and like so many more girls are being recruited outside of California. And I think
so
that's
awesome.
so awesome. But yeah, I just think it was like a totally testament to like getting yourself out there because she would never have seen me if I wasn't already playing for a team in California, and then it kind of opposite of what I was saying, my name being from Michigan is what attracted me to her.
100%.
Which she always told me that it was, like me playing at that level and like basically I had already proven that like I wanted this for myself by her watching me play.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Putting Michigan girls on the map, like really just honestly like making a name and showing that it may not be as competitive as a place, but like we're going to show you that we can be competitive in ourselves and as players to get those recruiting processes just the same.
I think there's so many benefits to not being, from not even that being from California. I'm not trying to say being from California is bad at all because it's not, because that's a benefit for sure.
Yeah.
But like you do have to work a lot. You have to work really hard. You have to make, connections,
make opportunities
and
for
network
yourself.
and make opportunities for yourself. So you honestly learn so many life skills and it means even more to you sometimes, when you get places, because it's like, oh, I had to do all these other things. And so, it also teaches you a lot about yourself through that process.
Yeah. You wouldn't bring a folding chair into the big house on a Saturday in November. That's not protection, that's decoration. In Michigan, we know the difference between showing up and being built for the moment, whether it's in Ann Arbor under the lights or 100,000 plus on their feet. There's a reason you don't trust lightweight gear in heavyweight moments. That's like letting the other team keep score. Technically possible, probably not in your favor. When you're injured because of someone else's negligence, the stakes are real. Medical bills get stacked up, work gets missed, and stress builds fast. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm, and they've been fighting for the people for over 35 years. With more than $30 billion recovered for clients and over 1,000 lawyers across 100 offices nationwide, they have the size and experience to go toe-to-toe when it matters most. Hiring Morgan & Morgan is like lining up at the big house, full roster, ready for 4 quarters. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/A2. Not all law firms are the same. This is a paid advertisement. Okay, well, I kind of want to talk about, you talked so highly about the team that kind of drew your love in for water polo and being a part of a team. This team at Michigan, I've gotten to interview 2 of the girls, Haley Polk on Hail to Her, gotten to do an interview with one of the girls as well.
Yes.
Sophia Bonnell, this is how I actually got connected with you.
Yeah.
She texted me and she's like, Angel, you need to interview my friend Abby. I was just like, this is the coolest girl ever.
Oh,
And
thank you.
honestly, like, it just goes to show how close you guys are, because first, one of your friends and one of your teammates to reach out and just speak so
Mhm.
highly of you. Like, each one of the girls, like, you just seem like you genuinely love each other and you're such a team. Can you
Yes.
just talk about the Michigan camaraderie and girls and your process about being friends with them and being on the
Yeah.
same team?
Yeah, my team is so special, and I think one of the biggest compliments we always get when we have recruits in town is like, "Wow, like, you guys really look like you care about each other."
Girl besties.
And that was one of the first things, like, so, like, my parents, I remember when my dad sent me on my recruiting trip to Michigan, he was like, "Here's some things." My dad was a collegiate volleyball player,
Okay.
and he was like, "Here's some things, like, you should look out for." And then top of that thing was, like, how your teammate how they treat each other, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause you're seeing them in the pool on your recruiting trip, and you're also seeing them
They're
out of
gonna
the
make
pool.
your entire
Yes,
experience.
they're gonna make your entire experience, and that's a culture that's built, and that
Mhm.
takes a lot of time and effort, and so my dad was like, "Really look at the way that they treat each other," and I remember that was the first thing that I thought of when I went home to my parents. I was like, "They just, like, really seem to love each other," and we get that compliment all the time from recruits now, and that, like, really means so much to us, and it is the truth. I think it is something that we've built, and it's very special, and it's not everywhere. Like, I know that for a fact, it's not everywhere. But yeah, like, I'm like, I don't know if they, like, recruited us all as best friends or something. I'm like, if it's, like, a certain, like, personality that they recruit that we just all, like, get along so well, and but I think at the end of the day, it's that our devotion to, like, the Block M and into the university, we all care so much about the school academically, athletically, that, like, we would all do anything for it, and so we have
Yeah.
something that, like, we are deeply bonded in, and it's bigger than water polo, and that shows, like, our relationships are more than just being teammates. It doesn't matter how many minutes you're playing, if you're injured, if you're on a roster, off of a roster, like, you matter, and
Yeah.
every girl makes that so clear. Um, so yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, they literally like were like, okay, your recruiting process, you all have to be bridesmaids by the end of
Exactly.
this.
And that is actually how it is. Like, we talk about our future all the time, like, all of us, and, like, we just, like, always wanna be involved in each other's lives, and
Yeah.
anything positive that happens in anyone's life, everyone is always, like, their biggest cheerleader, and, when people aren't having the best time, like, we're always there to pick each other up.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Absolutely.
but
I mean,
yeah.
that just goes to show like how amazing this school is in bringing amazing people
And
together.
that's a lot of our, like, leadership, like, our, older girls have done a phenomenal job since I've been here, and I'm sure it's been, along before that as well,
Yeah.
of just, like, constantly creating this culture, and, obviously we have times, like, where we're in the pool and we have tussles, but, like,
Yeah.
things don't leave the
Everybody's
pool.
competitive still, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Things don't leave the pool, and, we keep also, like, we're teammates, and then we're also friends, like,
Yeah.
I think our team does a really good job of having both,
Yeah.
where, like, sometimes, like, you need your teammate speaking to you, but sometimes you need your friend talking to you,
Yeah, very
like,
true.
it's
I say
very
that to my
different.
mom all the time. I'm like,
Exactly.
okay, I need my best friend talking to me right now, not my mom.
No.
I don't want serious advice.
Exactly,
100%.
exactly.
Well, getting the support from the girls, but not only just the girls, getting the support system back home. You're so close to your family. You speak
Yes.
so highly of your family. Your brother played water polo, and he actually also dances and is doing in a
Yes.
ballet school in, you said, Nashville. And then your
Yes.
parents own a bagel shop. So you're
Yes.
you're not shy of hard work. They own a bagel shop and you also help them with the social
Mhm.
media. How is it having such an amazing support system behind you in your family?
Yeah, my parents are, like, the best. They're so cool, and, I've learned so much from them. One thing about parents, they love change.
Okay.
So they, like,
I
my
mean,
parents.
literally, they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, guys, so we're gonna up and move you to Costa Rica right
Yeah,
now.
they
Get
love.
adjusted.
Exactly, they love change, and, like, I really admire the fact that they've never just been like, we're gonna have, and there's nothing wrong with this, but, like, they're gonna have one job for the rest of their life, and then they're gonna retire when they're, like,
Yeah.
60. Like, my parents probably will work.
This, this, this,
Yes, and they'll
this.
just always wanna be doing something different and something new. Like, my dad was originally an educator, and now he, like, owns a bagel shop and, like, taught himself how to make bread, and then
That's so
started
cool.
selling bread, and then that's how we became a bagel shop.
Yeah.
And my mom was an occupational therapist, and then she moved into more of, like, a leadership role, like, more of a management role. And now she has her own, like, side business, but also works for, like, basically, like, I think she basically does, like, kind of like leadership development for, um, pharmacies and dentistries
Yeah.
all around the country.
Hmm.
So they're super, super, super cool, and they taught me, like, pretty much everything I know about like hard work
Yeah.
and my brothers. So I have two brothers, an older brother and a younger
Okay.
brother. So I'm a middle child. And they both inspire me a lot. And I'm so grateful I had brothers. Like I just like
Having
growing
brothers
up,
is
like
not
you
for the weak, as being an only girl.
I know,
I
like
can
growing up,
attest.
I'm like always wanted a sister, but I'm like so grateful that I had brothers. They also taught me a lot. We were always like very hard on each other, but as hard as we were on each other, we also loved each other that much,
Yeah.
at twice as much as that.
Yeah.
And so my older brother is like the smartest person I know, and he is in Chicago right now. He just started his post grad job, but he used to play water polo. He was always
Wow,
a
shout
swimmer,
out.
very competitive, always like always an athlete. And then my younger brother is a dancer, and I'm so proud of him. He's at the Nashville Ballet. And he's amazing. He's
Yeah.
so cool. I love watching him perform. I don't get the opportunity to watch him perform as much as I wish I did,
Yeah.
but
I mean, you're in
yeah,
college right now, you're figuring it out. But I mean, that's
exactly.
such an amazing, like, to have such an amazing support system behind you. And it's also such an amazing thing to have when you go through trials and tribulations, which you have been through. So during your sophomore season, you
Mhm.
actually ended up having a freak accident, which is the worst possible
Yeah,
thing you can go through as an athlete because it's so like, oh, it's so out of your control. Can you
yeah.
talk to me a little bit more about the injury you're battling? Are you still currently battling it?
I'm back now. I'm back
She's
as of
back,
2
guys. She's
weeks.
so back. Okay,
Yes.
talk to me about coming
So
back and what was the injury?
yeah, so like I had a really great fall off season. Just like I don't know, I just like I worked really hard this summer over my mental game, and I
Yep.
just felt so much lighter. Like every athlete knows what it feels like to just like criticize yourself the entire time,
Yeah.
and it's exhausting. And you do need to criticize in order to grow, but sometimes it's just like you just want to have fun and enjoy
Yeah.
it. And so like I really kind of tried to take that approach, and it worked out well for me, and I was playing really well. And so I came back from winter break, which we come back usually on the 1st of January, and we have a week, sometimes 2 weeks. It just depends
Yeah.
on our seasons. We had about a week this year like we call it like our training week.
Mhm.
Where we have double practices, so 2
Yeah.
practices a day. And we kind of just are going over everything that we need to, all of our plays, and like figuring out, what offenses and defenses are going to work for our team this year.
Right.
And sometime in that training week, I took like a hard hit to my hand. I have no idea. I couldn't even pinpoint when it was or what it
Yeah.
was. I remember I came home from practice and I complained to one of our seniors and our captain. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, my hand hurts so bad." And she was like, "It's definitely just like
Oh,
bruised."
that's
And I
normal,
was like,
girl.
"Oh yeah, which it was. Like if we hadn't
Yeah.
been doing many reps, so we have like 3 weeks off for Christmas, which is amazing, but like you obviously I'm not throwing a ball, I'm just swimming the whole time. So
100%.
it kind of made sense to me, and then it just started getting worse and worse over the next so then I played 3 tournaments.
Oh, so you didn't
Um
even let it heal. You were just
well,
back to
cuz I didn't really know,
biz.
like told my trainer I was like it hurts, and but it didn't make any sense.
Right.
Like you don't what I ended up doing was breaking my hook with a hamate, and like you don't break that bone in your hand like ever.
Wow.
Or like I mean you do break that bone, but you don't break bones in
Clearly,
water
no.
polo. Yeah, like you
But
just don't
it's not
break,
that
yeah, like that
common.
doesn't
Yeah.
happen in water polo. Like I've never like I didn't really, besides your like people break their fingers a lot, but
Okay.
or like your nose, but like you don't break, like I just would never expect myself to have broken bone.
Right.
So yeah, I just started hurting. It would just get worse and worse and worse. And then we were in San Diego. And the week before we went to San Diego, I went and got an MRI. And the doctors had really pushed me to get an MRI because I originally was kind of against it. I was like, if my x-ray is clean, then like I definitely just need to toughen up. Like. And
Yeah.
so then my MRI came back and I got the results while we were playing in San Diego. And they came back that it had been broken. And
Okay.
so the coaching staff was like so supportive, and they knew how much like the season had meant to me, but they
Yeah.
also knew, like, you could tell when I was playing. I was not playing I was
Right.
very off. I was like not playing like
You gotta know when
myself.
to take a break, especially when your hand's broken.
Exactly, and I was very uncomfortable, like, just, like, the whole time we were playing, so, they were super supportive, and I sat out for the rest of the tournament, and then we headed home, and I'm so grateful because there's people that, have season-ending injuries, and we're so lucky as, a water sport, like, we have so many shoulder injuries, which are so terrible, but, like, I can't imagine, like, the ACL injuries and stuff that, like, other
Yeah.
land sports get. Um, so I'm so grateful. My recovery, like, what they end up doing is taking the bone out because I broke it in a place that I would never recover again, and so
Which hand is it?
it was my right hand. You can barely see the scar anymore. So I got it taken out.
Good to go.
Yeah, at the beginning of February. And then I basically had like 4 weeks of doing nothing.
Uh-huh.
And then I convinced them to let me get in the pool.
Get me
And then
back in
I
the
was
pool
like,
now.
"Please let me
I'm
get
a
in the pool."
mermaid.
And I wore like a little brace for a little bit. And but I'm just grateful because it was nothing compared to like a lot of people have to go through.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm still able to return to this season is so awesome. So yeah, I'll be back for we're playing Indiana this weekend, and then we play our CWPA, which is our conference championships, at home next weekend, which I'm very excited about.
And
Yeah,
you're going to be playing in?
I'm gonna be playing in those. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm really excited. Just to be back with the girls. Like I really try to embrace my role on the bench, and like it really just gave me.
Yeah.
I mean, I had
Your mental's pushed at that
yeah,
point.
and so I was like I just being on the team anywhere I am, like I'm just happy to be there, and I want to whatever's best for the team, and is where I want to be. So yeah.
Well, I love that. Abby Schulz, a Michigan girl through and through. I'm so happy I got to have you on this podcast.
Thank you.
Before I wrap up, I just want to talk about you coach locally to give
Yes.
back and to also be a mentor to other girls. Looking back at your entire process, your experience, what's the best mentorship advice you could give to your younger self?
I would say and I tell this to some of our recruits that come here that are not from California, which is like you have to believe in yourself more than anyone else believes in you. And it sounds like so cliche, but it's just the truth. Like you're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to look the other way for no reason. And you just have to believe in yourself and just keep on pushing yourself and keep on finding the things that separate you from the other girls and, figure out ways to fix them. And sometimes it feels so overwhelming, but it's as much of just going to the pool, getting a rebound board, and just starting to work on working on small things. Like maybe it's your wrist that you need to work on, or your passing, or sometimes it's your mental game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoy that. I get to be a part of like our local Ann Arbor water polo community. And that means like a lot to me. Even if I can help like one girl, feel a little bit more seen, and like it's hard. Like it's an isolating place to be in sometimes when like you want to continue to grow and you're just not the opportunity. And when it's a team sport, like you need to have 6 girls in the water that want it,
So true.
or 7 girls because we have a goalie. But so if it's just, sometimes it's just a couple of you, it can be really hard because you should like want to be like, please help, and like, and so so I love that I can be a part of that.
And honestly, like exactly like you said, like believing in yourself, like you're gonna get no's that you literally have no exact even explanation for why. My mom used to always say like you could, because I dance, so like a judge could look at you and tell you they don't want to hire you for a job, maybe even just because you look like their ex-girlfriend. Like it's so real in this day and age. Like honestly, at any day and age, like everybody's human. There's going to be reasons you get no's that there's literally no explanation for. So be there for yourself and give yourself grace. So I absolutely love that. My mom always says that.
And emphasis on give yourself grace.
Give yourself grace. You can't even help being injured. And like, we're so hard on ourselves, especially as athletes. I completely understand. Well, Abby, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you guys get to take that away and just like honestly like look at yourself and realize it's okay to give yourself a little bit of grace. And I mean, at the end of the day, go blue.
Yes, go blue.
Thank you guys for watching. This is A2 on Champ Media. Bye.